Welcome to Sideline Vibes, the Minnesota sports show changing the narrative of Minnesota sports fandom. I'm your host, Derek Long. Happy St. Patrick's Day and happy March Madness week. We're going to talk Minnesota Madness as well as, of course, State of the State. Solo episode. This video is sponsored by Sasquatch Media. Sasquatch Media is the premier video production company in the Midwest for documentary and commercial production. Sasquatch Media is an Emmy Award-winning production company. From commercial to branded content and TV series, they specialize in cinema quality production. They handle all aspects of the production process. A couple years ago, Sasquatch produced a hockey documentary titled Dream State. From a national airing on the NHL Network to winning Best Topical Documentary, Best Director, and Best Editor at the 2024 Midwest Emmys, to many film festival appearances across the world, Dream State was warmly welcomed back to the spotlight. A Minnesota Wild production and presented by TRIA, Dream State followed the legendary program of the War Road Warriors. A great example of this is their intro for the War Road season. It was shot on the frozen historic War Road River. It was directed, produced, and shot and edited by Sasquatch Media. You want a group that is hardworking and extremely passionate about what they do to share your story with others. Sasquatch Media should be your first option. Check out Sasquatch Media at sasquatch.media. SSQTCH.media. Starting this week, I'm going to start the first annual meme madness. Basically, I took the top 16 funniest, most viral, most interesting things that happened for each of our professional teams here in Minnesota, and I put them into a bracket to determine which thing was the best meme of the 2025-2026 season as a whole. So here is the bracket. Throughout the week, we're going to have matchups on X and on Bluesky and on Instagram, polls for each of these matchups, and throughout the week we're going to put them head to head to see which viral meme moment was the moment of the season, 2025-2026 season. I just kind of wanted to do something a little bit different than just doing a normal bracket, challenge. But this will be the Sideline Vibes version of March Madness, Minnesota Madness. Some of the ones to highlight here: the 1 seed Goosebumps from our boys at Croonch Wears No Pants, as well as 7 seed the Bones Highland Heat Wave Celebration, as well as Quinn Hughes Seeing Ghosts meme that's been going around as a 3 seed. The 4 seed JJ after the Chicago Bears victory in the locker room. You guys can probably visualize that right now. We have Pink Pony Club leaving the All-Star break on the plane. We have Wiregate. We have several viral moments that happened between year 2025 and up to this point in 2026. These 16 are going to be competing to see which one is the best meme of the season. We'll check in back next week to see which memes moved on to the next round. We're going to be doing this throughout the rest of the month of March and then finish into the first week of April, I believe, potentially. We'll see how it goes, but I'm pretty excited to see revisit these memes and see kind of how each of them point out. My early favorite is going to be, we got a couple dark horse candidates. I love the Studbuds Pink Hair Night. I think that was similar to the Nasri Towel Night. So that one I think could win as the 2 seed. Also, a sneaky funny moment was the Snoop Dogg halftime show. Also because it was so good, but it was just very random. So people might gravitate towards that. Maybe the 9 meme, but that one feels kind of sad. Will the Thrill Wiregate? That could be a sneaky upset there in that first round, but pretty excited to see what happens. We'll check in again next week. Please go vote on Twitter, on Bluesky, on Instagram. I'll have them all over the place. Even Facebook. We'll get in on the action all across social medias. All right, state of the state time. This is kind of just a state of the state episode, solo dolo. It is St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. I'm recapping from March 9th to March 17th. We'll start with the Wolves Crunch Time report. Very rough last week. Probably one of the toughest stretches if you're a Wolves fan this year. The Wolves went 1-3, dropped down to 6th in the standings with a couple bad losses to the Lakers and the Clippers. Snuck a win against Golden State at home and a much needed win, and then a loss to OKC. Now, some of the things, I just want to go through each of the games because they all kind of told a story of kind of how our season went. We lost to the Lakers with a bad second half. So we started off the game pretty rough, and all of these games we started off not fantastic, and it's going to make sense in a second when I get to maybe the reasons why. We play the Clippers and get absolutely destroyed by Kawhi Leonard. Probably one of his best games I've seen in a while. He was incredible, but we kind of just gave up in that second half. Golden State, we needed that win. It was a gritty performance, but even late in that game, it got a little tight. But that Golden State team is pretty gritty. They'll never give up in any game. And then we play OKC on Sunday. If you want a full recap of that game and kind of big picture stuff, head on down to Hitting the Hardwood, Missing Wolves podcast. I did a live with Andrew Dukowitz and Andrew Carlson, and we kind of covered all of our bases there. So go check that out if you want a little recap of that game. But it was a great IO, and it was good to see Randall kind of get back into the mix. Very rough Rudy game, and not a great Ant game. We find out that he is injured and he's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks. Part of me thinks that this is not great timing because we obviously need Ant for seeding purposes, but also if this was going to happen, I'm glad that it's happening right now and he can maybe get the rest that he needs before the playoffs, because we're still going to make it to the playoffs. That's not I don't think that should be any question at this point. But yeah, this would be a good opportunity. I always look at things as good opportunities for maybe other people to step up. It's going to be good opportunities for guys like Jaden, guys like Rudy, guys like Nas, guys like even Randall to kind of regain their confidence a little bit. I feel like a lot of our confidence was riding on Ant and hoping that he kind of carries us for a lot of these games in this tough stretch, and obviously he's not going to be able to do that in the next 1 to 2 weeks. So it'll be good. It'll be a good opportunity. Now, looking at one guy who I think might just benefit for him just kind of having to have this larger role is Jaden, where he has kind of just been completely out of the scheme, kind of just out for the last week since the Portland game. I would say he's had a rough stretch where the lowest plus minus in the league, as you can see here from Wolfwise stats. Go check them out with all things Wolves statistics. That should be your place you go for any NBA statistics. Anyways, they pointed out that the last 5 games, these are his numbers. 13% from the 3-point line, which was what he was huge for us during the beginning part of the season. So again, can it get any lower than this? You can see that trend graph at the bottom. I don't think it can get any lower. There's one moment in the year where it got like that, but for the most part, he's had an incredible season. So it's going to get turned around, and this might be the opportunity for that to happen. Now, all this to say, I think I have a theory of why this is happening. Ever since the A-Rod Trump picture, the Wolves have just looked disgruntled, just look out to lunch, just look not connected together. So is that causing a problem? I don't know, but ever since that picture was taken, I don't know if there was a blood oath or something, or he zapped our powers of vibe power when he went there, kind of like a Space Jam situation. He's like the Monstars taking our vibe ability. But can we get it back? Do we need to get the Looney Tunes back in action? Space Jam 3? This could be a plot for Space Jam 3 if we work hard enough on that. But I'm just gonna use that as the blame for why we're on this bad stretch, because I just don't want to have to think about anything else that makes logical sense besides the fact that our owner just went and just very poor taste, just went and took a pic. Like, everything that's going on in Minnesota and how Minnesota as a whole probably feel about this guy, and you just go and meet up with him, and it's just the kind of the millionaire just not aware vibe. I don't know what they were probably discussing or taking a picture, whatever it may be, just distasteful all around. So can we recover from those vibes? I hope so. I really hope so, but it's going to take our team stepping up in that matter. But we need a vibe recalibration. A couple things in the news here. Expansion. It's like the White Truth said, I've been talking about expansion forever. And the Board of Governors, I guess, is going to meet and discuss whether or not they should add Seattle and Las Vegas to the NBA. If this happens, there's a good chance that Minnesota moves to the East, which is big because of how tough the West has been. And it'll be great for just our travel. I think in general, Wolves fans don't even care about. I don't care about playing the Thunder. I don't care about playing the Denver Nuggets. Like I love that competition, and obviously we're gonna run into them in those years coming up here too. But I think it's better for our sanity, as last week was an absolute grind for just the fans at home. I can't imagine what it was like for the players to have to play these games at like 9:00, 10:00 all week long. No wonder they seemed tired and distant. I would probably be pretty grumpy too if I was playing basketball but I guess I'm getting paid millions of dollars to do it. But you know, it is what it is. Anyways, this week you'll feel a lot better about the schedule time-wise. But Nate from Croonch Wears No Pants, he's put out a tweet the other day saying that JC, he's the Nasri tattoo guy that was giving out cheap tattoos for the playoff run. Good friend and big guy in the Wolves community. If you have not heard yet, he is recovering from brain surgery, tumor surgery, and the goal was to get to that $75,000 mark, and they are short a little bit of it, and so they want to try to hit it as soon as they can. So please go check out. I'll put the link down in the description for you to look to donate to JC and his family during this time. He's an awesome member of the Wolves community, and you should consider donating whatever you can to help out somebody who has poured their heart into the Wolves community if you can. So think about you, JC, and hope that hope recovery is going well for you and for your family. The next games here for the Wolves are going to be tonight, Tuesday, against the Phoenix Suns. That's going to be at 7 p.m. All of these games this week are going to be at 7 p.m. Thank God for that. Wednesday, they're going to play the Jazz at home. And then Friday versus the Blazers. So a 3-game homestand. Some winnable games. It would be nice to get some wins here. And then Sunday at Boston. That's going to be a very tough one, especially if Ant's going to be out. That's on NBC. Also at 7 p.m. So if we can get 3 out of 4, that's a huge week, especially with Ant out. So yeah, we'll tune back in next week and see how they did. Puckheads talk now. Hockey talk. Freezepeat for the Frost. 12-4-3. They are now second in the standings. 39 points. They went 2-0 last week. Starting with a win against the Seattle Torrent, 4-1, with this sick Phantom Cam goal shot here. Gotta love it there. Huge win for the Frost, and they then went on to go play at Denver for one of the takeover games against the New York Sirens and won 4-3. Huge win. Zummy with 2 goals in that one. And so that puts them up in the second in the standings. The vibes are still, they hate us because they ain't us. And the big question is, can we three-peat? This feels like... I mean, looking at the score, the goal differential, I always like to look at that, and we're looking pretty good in that. Lead the league in goals, so I think we can. But I feel like the league is really out to get us, and it starts with the Toronto fans. They do not like us. Let's watch. This is a TikTok here from Fan First Network here. About the Toronto fans. They did not like us.
That sucked. That was horrible. That missed call was disgusting.
That was a hard game to watch. If you're Minnesota and that's your win, you should feel ashamed of yourself.
Hey, you take any win. You take any win.
Team and they don't get penalized. I don't get it.
Is that true?
It's an incredible game to watch, but when that's the level of reffing that you get...
Is that true? I'm curious about this. I wonder if I could look this up. Okay, so I'm guessing times shorthanded here. This category is how many times that we are on the power play. I guess I couldn't find where it says we have or how many penalties that we get. But we definitely are, I guess, on the low end of times shorthanded. So are we the OKC Thunder of the PWHL? I don't know. I guess if you're a PWHL fan who's not a Frost fan or a Frost fan, comment below and tell me where I'm wrong in this. But I've watched so many Frost games this year and last year, and I don't know what the big fuss is about with penalties. I don't see us being malicious, but I don't know if you could point out sometimes that's the case. Then I'll eat my words there. Let's go back to the video.
Hockey's an incredible game to watch, but when that's the level of reffing that you get...
So are we blaming the refs or are we blaming the Frost?
Experience for the fans. I can't imagine how the players felt.
Was the refereeing good or bad?
Bad.
The league is so strong. The reffing is so below the level of this league. That was ridiculous.
The refs sucked. That was horrible. That missed call was...
I would just love to... I need somebody to come on and tell me if I'm just... I don't know. I'm always like, there's some times where I feel like the reffing in athletic performances or athletic, I'm sometimes someone who thinks refs can play a big part in it. I don't think the calls necessarily do, but I think it does cause a change in momentum sometimes. But I'm not one that is saying that the reason that teams lose games is because of officiating. There's times that happens probably. Where the missed call happens, but most often than not, I'm never going to really say that's the reason why that is the case. But I don't know. Comment below if I'm completely wrong about my Minnesota Frost here. But I think people just hate us because they ain't us. That's just where I'm at on that. So I'm excited to see Toronto in the playoffs here. But the whole world's against us at this point. Next games here for the Frost are Wednesday against the Ottawa Charge, and then Saturday at Vancouver. That's going to be at 3 o'clock on FanDuel Sports Network. Both of them will be on FanDuel if you have that. All right, let's get wild here. Just similar to the Wolves, the Wild have had a pretty rough stretch here. We're now 38, 18, and 12. Still third in the Central Division, and we're kind of like locked there for the year. And then third in the West at 88 points, but now we're down to 5th overall. We went 1-2-1 this last week. We lost to the Mammoth, or we beat the Mammoth 5-0, and then now we're on kind of a 3-game losing streak here. Shootout loss to the Flyers, loss to the Rangers, and then a loss to the Maple Leafs. That loss to the Rangers was a tough one because that was Spurgeon's 1,000 game, and the FanDuel Sports Network broadcast did a great job of covering the game, and also like finding moments to talk about Spurgeon because he's been around our team for a long time, and he's also my wife's favorite player. So it was a great game for us to watch together. She was sad that the Wild lost and that they couldn't win it for him on his special day, but anyways, they did a great job of kind of talking about finding moments to talk about his career, and even during period breaks, it was great for that to be able for the team should do that more often when there's big games like that where it's like a big milestone. Centering conversation instead of just talking about random stuff, just talk about the players' achievements in their career. Because I thought that was very entertaining as a fan just watching the game. It was fun to watch my boy Will Borgren, fellow St. Cloud State alumni. We've known each other over the years here because we went to school together and whatnot. But it was fun to see him playing against the Wild, and I feel like he kind of raises it up a little bit. He ended up getting a penalty, but helping in a lot of ways of helping them win that game. But obviously, I wanted the Wild to win. Sorry, Will. Then a loss to the Leaves. That was a tough one there. 3 losses against teams that are in the East and maybe not as good as where we are there. But I think just similar to like the Wolves, I think the Wild are just ready for the playoffs. But and it was interesting to see the comparisons between, well, not really comparisons that were made directly, but when I was watching the broadcast, listening to it, it sounds like a similar vibe. It's like the Wild and the Wolves. They play to their competition this year, where if they're playing really good teams, they go up a level. If they're playing not so good teams, they maybe just mail it in and hope that they can win. But it was interesting to see that there's other teams that are having that issue that the Wolves are, because I'm really dialed into the Wolves. I'm not as dialed into what's like hockey world, what that kind of looks like versus the basketball world. So it was interesting to see that. But one thing I want to say is, like, how can we improve these vibes as fans? Because that's always what I'm looking at here. One thing, we got to stop talking about how the playoff format is structured. I know it's stupid. I get it. If our GM is also talking about it and saying that it needs to change during the season, that kind of puts a target on our back. 1, 2, it kind of allows the players to kind of have an excuse when they're playing, because they're like, well, we're in a tough spot right here. We're going to be potentially out in the first round because of just how the playoffs are. If you have that, like, kind of like, I don't want to say loser mindset, but like it's like a victim mindset, you're kind of setting yourself up for maybe some disappointment. So I think we need to avoid all that conversation. Just play what's in front of you and see what happens from there. But I'm not usually a fan of complaining how the system works until after it's done. After it's done, then maybe you can complain about it. But even then, it's kind of like, well, yeah. Now you're just complaining about it because you lost. But I don't know. It's something that we probably shouldn't focus our minds on right now. But big week here for the Wild as we play a home and away against Chicago Tuesday tonight at Chicago. Obviously, when this comes out, that game already happened. Hopefully, we won. Thursday versus the Blackhawks, and then Saturday versus the Stars at 3 o'clock. So again, that's a huge game this Saturday, and you better be tuning in for that one, because that might be a big standings jumper if we can play our cards right here early in the week. All right, let's move on to Wonderball. I'm not going to make the sound today because we got destroyed by Vancouver. We went 0-1 this last week. We are 1-1-2, 4 points down at the bottom of the standings overall, but we lost to the best team in the league, in my opinion, in Vancouver, 6-0. Now, that hasn't happened. It's probably one of the worst losses in Loons history, if not the worst loss in Loons history. It seemed like when we're ready to play, this seems like a theme of the week with maybe the blizzard coming in. I feel like our teams were just not in a good spot. Daylight savings week, I'm just going to blame it on a lot of different things and just kind of chalk this week up as an L, move on to the next week, this week. And hopefully we can improve. But the cool thing that came from this game is we saw James Rodriguez play his first minutes for the Loons, and boy, what a difference. What a level of difference that is. And you can see like some all-time greats in what is considered in the world maybe one of the lower divisions. MLS is kind of sneaky moving up the ranks, but it's still probably criticized as one of the lower ranked bigger leagues, if that makes sense. And so seeing a guy that has been very successful in the international scene as well as like Premier League, upper league soccer, play for your Loons, you could tell there's like a little difference. It's kind of like if like a varsity or like a college player comes back and plays with a varsity basketball team as like alumni practice. You go, wow, there's levels to this stuff, and James kind of showed that in this little bit of action that he got there. But overall, I think the Loons are just trying to like figure themselves out. Like, is this going to be kind of like a rebuilding year, or is this kind of like we're just trying to kind of play around and see what works best for this current type of roster that we have. It's a big difference than what we had last year with Ramsey, where we were back so far playing very, very conservative defensive style versus we're trying to be a little bit more balanced in what I noticed with the approach, but we're kind of playing around with our formation, 5-back, 4-back, what do we kind of want, and Cameron Knowles kind of touched on that in his post-game press conference. I don't have the clip here for that, but he talks about how this early part of the season is just kind of figuring out what works for us, and clearly this 6-0 loss is a good indicator maybe that we might need to make some adjustments in what that looks like. Some cool stuff that happened on March 12th, 2017, as they're kind of recapping 10 years of MLS action. The Loons played their first MLS game in Minnesota, aka the snow opener, and some of the pictures of this action was incredible, as I've been kind of like wanting a snow blizzard game, and it would have been so fun if the Loons played this weekend with the blizzard at home. That would have been just really, really fun action. But as you can see here, playing at TCF, the old TCF Bank Stadium during that time, some of the scenes, and I think we could use some of that to our advantage as Loons fans, Wonderball fans, especially when the schedule is going to change to that more of a winter. I know we're not going to get like directly in the winter type of games, as we're going to take that winter break, but you might see a lot of games like this, and we got to use this to our advantage, and kind of lean into the frozen tundra aspect of us. But I don't know, it's something cool. Next game here for the Loons is a big one against Seattle on Sunday at 1:30. That's going to be on local television on Fox, or if you have Apple TV, you can watch it on Apple TV. But this one is for everybody to tune in for. Big-time rivalry, in my opinion, against Seattle. We knocked them out of the playoffs last year with the incredible PKs, the quintuple overtime PKs. Eliminated them to move on to the next round. They're going to come back for blood. We've always had a history of kind of getting after each other. So it's going to be a fun game. Tune into that one on Sunday on Fox. Moving on here to some off-season vibes here. The Bare Necessities twins still in spring training, getting very close to opening day, as opening day is on March 26th. So about this time next week, we'll be gearing up for that. But the World Baseball Classic's going on right now, and it is so much fun. One thing that I kind of noticed is that the nations kind of play a different, or they kind of have like a different vibe of like how it very much shows how we approach sports in the U.S. compared to other nations. And obviously there's some good and bad things that can go with that. As you can see, like the Dominican Republic team, they are just very, you can see the joy in which they like to play this game, and they treat it as a game, but they have fun competing at the highest level. But then you have the U.S. team, who's very serious about things, and is very like locked in, doesn't want to do knuckles to people. I'm more of a person who is leaning towards like that fun aspect of it. I think sports, obviously there's a seriousness in the competition. You're taking it seriously. You're representing your country in this situation. But part of if you're taking it too seriously, sometimes you get a little bit tight. And so I feel like the fun aspect of that is where it makes it more enjoyable for everyone along the process. And I remember it's a game at the end of the day. But people might argue, hey, well, Dominican Republic didn't beat us because we were more serious about our craft and getting focused on what we want, our goal, and things like that. But I don't know. I'm more of, we sometimes take it a little bit too seriously in the U.S. with certain things. You saw it in the Olympics with the hockey teams. They were serious, but also in a way that was like they're playing loose. if that makes sense. Like the men's and the women's teams, they both seem like they really just enjoyed playing with each other. This U.S. team doesn't seem as fun in that way. Definitely compared to like the Dominican teams and some of those Latin American teams that, as you saw throughout this tournament. I just love the World Baseball Classic though, and I think it's been a lot of fun. And I'm just excited to see what happens here. Let's go Lynx here. Prowls piece. Where we left off with the CBA update is that they had a March 10th deadline. That deadline has since passed, and the WNBA and the WNBPA are now going on their 8th consecutive day of CBA negotiations. 90 plus hours of negotiation, and no deal has been made. Both sides, it hasn't really been like an official statement from the Players Association, but there's been some of the people who are representing saying that there are some progress being made for the most part. But the WNBA side of it, Kathy came out and said that there are some serious progress being made. I don't know what's the case for this, but I don't think the WNBA expected the players to really kind of dig their heels in like they did, and that's why they kind of wanted to wait them out until that March deadline. That's just my opinion. And also, our friend Mitchell Hansen at Hitting the Hardwood, he kind of commented on that they're very motivated. That Kathy said that both sides are really working hard. Mitchell said, it's hard to not think about where we would be today if both sides would have just sat down like this in December, January, February, rather than wait until now. I just personally think that was the WNBA's tactic, was to kind of make it this like, all right, well, we're going to push your season back. They wanted this strike to happen to kind of force the Players Association's cards, but the Players Association is very much just like digging their heels in, as they should. They got to hold that line. Because this is a moment that you have the most amount of leverage. Coming off a great season, and the last 2 seasons have been great for the WNBA as a whole from the players' side. You're seeing a lot of influx of new players and exciting players and fan interest, and this is the most amount of leverage you're going to have. And so you have the support, too, from, I feel like, most of the people in around the game and the community. So you have to, I don't think the WNBA expected them to do that. Now that's why this is so poorly kind of organized, and that's why these meetings are happening right now, as that's not something that they probably wanted to have happen. But they try to strong arm them, and you got Nafisa and Stewart, who just they're not going to give up here. They're strong. They're very smart business people, obviously. And so it's very just like, I can't believe that they thought that this would be a good idea to try to do this tactic. I don't know. It just seems very dense, in my opinion. I think one thing, some cool stuff here. I saw this TikTok of a stand-up comedian, Macy Isaacs. I'll just let you watch the bit. I'm actually gonna play along here and see if I can answer these WNBA team. I'm gonna be able to get 100%. Come on, or Kardashian baby. I'm more concerned. I don't really know much about Kardashian babies. I do watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians, or whatever the Kardashian show is now on Hulu with my wife. So I'm kind of locked into both of these, but let's see.
If you think it's a WNBA team name or a Kardashian baby. First one, Sky.
Chicago Sky.
That's a team.
But also could be a Kardashian baby.
The Chicago Sky. I think all cities have one of those. I don't know why they got it. Again, could be worse. I'm glad they're not the Chicago Lady Bulls.
Great point.
That would be worse. Next one is Storm.
Seattle Storm. But could be a Kardashian baby.
I like where your head's at. You said both. Storm is a team. Stormy
Oh, Stormy
is a baby. That's a trick question.
Okay,
I'm sorry. I
say,
had to throw that one in there. Stormy is a baby. Storm is the Seattle Storm. Next one, Air. Yeah, that's a baby. That one trips me up, and I made up the game, and I still get confused. Air is a baby. Next one, Wings.
Oh, Dallas. If that's a baby.
Team, yes. That is my least favorite team name. I think that's the weakest. I don't know what you think of when you think of women and wings. Yeah, maxi pads. Come see the Dallas Wings, always. That should be their tagline. The Dallas Strings would be worse. I'll give them that. The Dallas Strings would be, I'll take the wings. I'll take the wings. Next one, Mercury. I love that enthusiasm. That's what everyone's been wanting this whole night. Mercury, yeah, that is a team. I don't mind. I think that's a pretty good name. I don't love that it's the smallest planet. But I think Mercury is kind of scary because in high doses, it's very dangerous for pregnant women, right? So that's something. What if we added in retrograde? Mercury in retrograde.
Phoenix Mercury in retrograde.
Women hate that. I mean, Mercury in retrograde, that's so scary. They have a chance to beat the Houston Rockets. I mean, Houston, we have a problem. Mercury's in retrograde. Last one, Dream. Both.
I was going to say both. I think. Anyways, great bit here from me, C. Isaacs. I just love that. I thought it was really funny. Maybe that felt like something that you think is funny and you share it with somebody and they're like, that really wasn't that funny. But I thought it was topical and I thought it was funny. I don't know. There's my two worlds colliding. Reality TV shows that I watch with my wife and the WNBA and comedy. Let's go Skolum report here. Minnesota Vikings. Big news as Kyler Murray is now a Minnesota Viking. Signed on a 1-year veteran minimum deal, I believe, where he is going to be competing for that starting job. He's probably going to get the starting job. And then, he's going to beef up that quarterback room. He's going to basically be the starting quarterback and maybe help us get to a championship. He's going to be probably one of the reasons why we get to at least a conference championship potentially this year. I don't know. I'm pretty excited about this. Obviously, I think Kyler has been kind of I'm not going to take these last couple of years from the Cardinals. He's been injured. Also, just the vibe around the Cardinals has been awful, and he's kind of a guy who seems like if the vibes aren't good, he's gonna kind of just like lay low, which is not a good thing to do. And but I think with this team, he doesn't need to be the vibe creator, which is good. He can kind of just do his thing. I love his skill set. I like what he's able to do. His quick decision making, I think that's going to be very helpful for us in our offense, as this might be one of the better quarterbacks that KOC might have on the Vikings. Hopefully we don't come back to this and go, wow, that was an absolute disaster. But I can't imagine it could be any worse than what we saw last year with that. But it took a little bit of restructuring Jones and Hawkinson, and hopefully, and also the Harrison Smith cutting. That's going to probably end up him coming back. So kind of like a restructuring in a way to make all this happen. But we still have a little bit of wiggle room to maybe bring in somebody else, bring in some other players. There's been a lot of talk about that, but again, the restructuring of the vibe has been the theme of the offseason, and you're seeing that there. One cool thing that's going to be happening here, 2 Minnesota Vikings legends, Adam Thielen and C.J. Ham, are going to retire as the Vikings on Thursday, signing kind of like a 1-year deal or 1-day deal to retire. I don't know why they do that. If someone knows, comment down below. Maybe I could look it up, I guess, and figure that out. But it's interesting that they do that. I guess they want to say they want to retire as a certain team, so it's remembered as that. But it just kind of feels funny to me. But anyways, we all knew it was going to happen like this. So, but it'll be fun to celebrate their careers on Thursday. obviously Thielen, big time legend in this household here. Vibe of the week here is having fun. Okay, I'm kind of maintaining that theme of having fun. That Bam Adebayo. Now, part of this was all the conversation around the Bam Adebayo 83-point record-breaking performance. I feel like if you are thinking that this is a bad thing for the NBA or just like a mockery of the game, that you are a boomer. As this is actually what I think is like the best thing for combating tanking. It's just embarrassing teams. Now the Wizards are always going to be associated with you remember who Kobe broke that record on, the Raptors. You remember what team that they played in against there. And so I think part of it is a little bit of a shame thing, which is great. Guys don't like being embarrassed. I think this is a great thing for tanking. If we can't actually figure out a solution, let's just try to go out and break all these records. I think records should be a little bit weird. I think it's fun that a player who I do like Bam Adebayo. I think he's a great player, but it's just fun to see his name as the second most of all time behind Wilt Chamberlain. But he has a great story, so I'm not going to try to dog him and be like, I can't believe he got that, because I think any NBA player would have a shot at breaking a record like this any night if they really just took as many shots as possible. But people love Bam. I love Bam. People in the Heat love Bam. He's got a great story. He's a great person. So I think it's a great thing, a great person for this to happen to. Which leads to something that I thought was pretty funny. I love Grill Guy on TikTok. He talked about how in his men's league game he went for a record here.
Look, guys, some people are calling this the best performance in men's league history. I'm not ready to take it there. For me, I was just trying to help my team win. My entire family did have the flu all week. I was still able to play on Sunday. So this is just my flu.
What a
game.
warrior.
That's all that is. There's a left-hand layup. And another
I love the
6-7. If you're going to score 34
this is
points
before 6-7, so
you got to have a left-hand layup. And you got to have a counter, which is just a drop step to a jump hook. There you go. Hard foul. Benches cleared. Cooler heads prevailed.
Honestly, Grill Guy, he's got some bag work. He's got some bag work. I'm not going to point out the free throws here and how the fact that you go into the line and get in a lot of points from the line.
Again, if you're going to score 34 points on a running clock, you got to be able to hit free throws. So I hit my free throws, which is a good little reverse layup there.
That's a sneaky,
Look,
like,
people remember
running,
where they were when
it's hard to guard.
Kobe scored 81. People remember where they were when Reggie scored a bunch of points at the end of the game and Spike Lee got pissed.
I like his footwork.
As you see here, I'm playing above the rim. Again, if you're going to score 34 points on running clock, got to play above the rim, which I'm doing there. Hit another three here at the end of the game, and then a free throw to seal the game. And, folks, that's just a flu game.
Yeah.
Look, guys, some people are calling this.
And now Bam's going to have every men's league player across the country trying to go for 84 or go for 34 with a running clock. We'll call it the grill guy pulling a Bam. Do we have to change now shooting into a wastebasket? Are we calling that Bam? Are we throwing that? I saw that the other day too. But anyways, again, sports is about having fun, and it's not stuff like this happens. It's not like a bastardization of the game. You know what is a bastardization of the game? Cheating the system to tank. And you know what? If they didn't want him to score 83, they should have done more to stop him. But clearly they don't care about him scoring at 83. So you shouldn't really either, is what I'm trying to say. But that's where we have it for today. Again, shorter episode. But yeah, please go vote for the Minnesota Meme Madness. It's going to be on any of the social medias. You can vote anywhere. You can vote at all three places. I'm going to count them all up, and yeah, we'll discuss it week by week here through the end of the month of March. Remember, keep your vibes high. Don't let your teams control your vibes. Okay, we don't need to add more pressure onto them. Okay, you can help them control their vibes. How about that? Don't let the teams control. You can't do anything about the team, so don't let it control your vibes. That's what I'm trying to say here, guys. That's what we're saying. Have fun enjoying your team. Cheer them on. Let's get after it. Have a great rest of your week. See you next time. Peace.